51 Ukrainian civilians are dead after a horrific Russian war crime in the town of Kryvyi, Ukraine. This time, the Russians hit a cafe in the surrounding area in the town of Kryvyi, which is about 20-30 miles away from the Russian border. It's right southeast of Kharkiv. The Russians decided to attack a cafe. They used missiles. They used, it appears to be anti-ship missiles. These were not just the regular missiles they send that are the dumb missiles that they're not sure where they're going. The experts are saying this was targeted. This was on purpose. The Russians knew what they were doing. 51 civilians so far are dead. The dead keep increasing by the hour, including a 6-year-old boy. Now, what you have to understand is that this is what Russia does, unique among nations, certainly among modern developed nations. Russia targets civilians on purpose, and they do it as a matter of state policy. It's not like some errant soldier happens to kill civilians either accidentally, negligently, or actually tries to kill civilians. All of our countries have had that happen in recent years, but it's always an errant soldier who is then published. In Russia, the orders come on high from Putin. Russian policy in military fighting is to kill civilians. They are not killed by accident. They're not killed by negligence. They target civilians on purpose because the Russians think this is going to somehow break the backbone of the people, or it could be used to try to break the backbone of NATO allies who think, oh my God, this is so horrible, what's going on? We just have to stop now. Let's make the Ukrainians give up land for peace, right? Keep in mind, and previously in this war, the Russians also, remember last year the Russians blew up the train station in Kramatorsk, also in the eastern area, and they killed 52 people, 52 civilians at a train station waiting for trains to, refugees to get out. They blew up the children in Mariupol. Remember Mariupol, the town along the coast, southeastern coast? It's the same town where the Azovstal fighters were fighting, the Azov fighters were fighting in the Azovstal steel plant, the 2,000 Ukrainian troops fighting the 14,000 Russian troops for 2 months, the big heroes. Well, that is also the town where refugees, about 1,000 refugees, Ukrainians, were hiding in a theater, a drama theater. It had the words children written on the sides, Dechi, in Russian, so that Russian bombers would know, big writing on the sides, this place houses children refugees. The Russians bombed it anyway. I believe it was the Associated Press did an analysis and found that at least 600 civilians were confirmed dead. 600 civilians cowering in the basement were blown up by the Russians. They do this on purpose. And as I said, I'll make it one more time here. You're going to see the Russian trolls in the comments say, oh, Vietnam. Got to go back 60, 70 years to find an American example. Fair enough. Iraq. Yeah, there were a couple examples in Iraq, and the U.S. paid for it and we prosecuted. Abu Ghraib. Horrible what they did, Abu Ghraib. These were errant soldiers. When they got caught, it caused a national scandal in America. In Russia, when they got caught, the Bucha guys who committed massive war crimes against civilians. Remember Bucha, the city right north of Kyiv, the Ukrainian capital, when the troops went through with the media in early April of 2022, and they found just scores of civilians murdered, including an old man riding his bicycle, lying on the sidewalk, still holding the bicycle dead. They shot the old man while riding a bike. What did those guys do? They got a medal. They got a medal from Putin for killing civilians. That is the difference. I mean, there's a lot of differences, but as I said, the larger difference is this is Russian war policy. They intentionally kill civilians. They're not an ancillary byproduct. They're the goal. They're the goal, and they're doing it again. This is why when it comes down to it, I don't know how you negotiate with war criminals. I don't know how you split the baby in half and say Ukraine should give up land and we should, cut off Ukraine and maybe they'll negotiate and give up half their territory. How do you appease genocide? We've learned this lesson before. You can't. It just begets more war.